welcome to another edition Inside the Pigskin. My name is Scott Morganroth, Madmouth. Oh, Motor City Madmouth. I'm going by Madmouth from now on. Forget about Scott. I'm the Madmouth show. Everybody knows it. And I got a great group tonight. Mel Farr join us. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But we got a great topic, great group. Freeze and Dry Show. Welcome back to the big show. There you go. Jovial is all. And he has all those jerseys in the background. Candy laughing, wondering what's going to come out of the Madmouth mouth. Okay, great stuff.
I thought we had her laughing more last night with our shenanigans than I've seen her in a while. So
yeah, we did. Hey, Eddie Prather, good stuff. Hey, we're gonna get him back on another. We're gonna get him back on another professor and a pupil before it's all said and done, Stephen. Obviously, last night we were jammed, but Prather, get ready. We'll do that before it's all said and done. Marvin, the Trojan man, what's up, brother?
Fight on, big week this week. Autzen Stadium, baby, game day. 3:30 Eastern. Get your mind right.
Well, big week for us, man. We got tonight and tomorrow, and we got Ben Troop, man. This guy is awesome when he's on. He's been on a roll lately. We have we're riding a troop today. Great stuff.
But you know, it's always fun to be on with the squad. I mean, I'm waiting on Mel to get on because I'm waiting on them little subliminal jabs from Marvin, and I'll be like, I love it. It's real subtle, but you can feel it. You can definitely feel it.
The heat and the tension between them.
Miss Candy, you already know what it is.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're going to get to James Franklin, but we'll mention, he is going to be obviously with Virginia Tech. More on him next week. I have a lot of other stuff that's really, really important, but I'm glad we'll at least get it in there. He kept fighting in there on a roll offensively. Does a wonderful job on Fire Up Thursday night in the Country Club with Candy. Great stuff that he's in there. And last but not least, my main man, Tom Shanahan. And we do a lot of good projects together. We go back to NSMA. Tommy's one of the, like everybody it's here, been a great addition as well. Let's get to it.
Yeah, good timing. The Michigan State basketball game just ended. Beat Kentucky by 17.
All right, great stuff. I'll tell you, we come on next week. I'll tell you what time we're going to come on next week. We're going to talk about. Hopefully, the plan is to do a show next Tuesday. We're going to talk about Michigan State football now on next Tuesday's edition of Inside the Pigskin. We do plan to do a Tuesday show. How long we'll do it? We have to do a Tuesday show for God's sake, because it's leading into Thanksgiving. We're going to go to some words of wisdom. I know Steve Vatt's get off around 9 for like 10 minutes. We're going to go to Kelvin Sampson. Why are we going to him? Words of wisdom from the man. No one loses at anything as long as they don't quit. Guess what? The first week of June, he got a contract extension with the Houston Cougars. You buying that, Steven? Nobody loses when they don't quit.
You can still lose it even if you quit. But that's we all have our funky words that we like to use. So I mean, regardless, there's a winner, there's a loser. Regardless if you quit or not, you're gonna there's always gonna be somebody on the losing end, and it is what it is.
Well, I guess you're not drinking the Calvin Sampson Kool-Aid that much. Okay, Candy.
He's a good coach. Kudos to him. Kudos to him for getting an extension and stuff like that. As far as quitters never win. Don't be a quitter.
Marvin?
Yeah, I completely agree with him. Winning and success is a process, and there are levels to it, and part of that process is failure. Part of that process is learning from your last experience. Part of that process is just, dealing with the reality of you ain't ready, but, you're getting better. So it's true, man. You look at anybody in sports or in business who you really admire, who you really success, they'll talk to you about failure. They'll talk to you about their comeback. They'll talk to you about, all the things they did before they became famous, through their success. So, yeah, I think failure is part of the process. And as long as you keep going, man, you are a winner. It's that championship mindset you got to have in your darkest days, man. That's you learn that as an athlete, as an entrepreneur. At least I have. And I think failure has been some of my greatest lessons.
Great stuff. Okay, Ben.
Yeah, I think I know what Coach Sampson is saying. I mean, he seems to be a guy that definitely understands that his players are always listening. People are always listening to him, and I think he does make some great points. But the whole thing about it is, when you look at how how everything happened last year in the Final Four, the national championship game, and how it ended up. Sometimes it's hard to recover from that stuff. It's hard to come back from that, but he obviously is, and he obviously has. He's one of those perspective type coaches. Like he's teaching life while he's coaching, and Coach Campbell seemed like the type of guy. A lot of guys want to get coached under. I'm happy that they had their worst moments against my Gators last year. I definitely appreciate that, Coach Sampson, but no, I respect Coach Sampson. It's hard to do what he's done for as long as he's done it, and he's done it at a high level for a long time. So shout out to him.
Hey, Jeremy, I'm with you there about Shedeur Sanders. Put those numbers up, Candy. 416, 39 yards, 0 touchdowns, interception. That'll improve when he goes out there and has an opportunity to work with the first team. Tough thing for him to do. Glad to have Jeremy Ballrick in there. Glad to have Eddie Fraser in there.
20 chapter fanfic where
And Mel, I know you're just joining us right now, and we're taking a quote here from Kelvin Sampson, who says, "No one loses anything as long as they don't quit." What are your thoughts about that?
I even coined their nickname.
You said no one loses anything. You said no one loses anything as long as they don't quit.
Yeah, I don't know what the background noise is, but we need to eliminate that somehow. So why?
Hold on 1 second.
Okay, please. Thank you.
No one loses anything as long as they don't quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only person that's ever failed is a person that tried, right? So, as long as, I always say every day, I'm swinging and ducking. That's what I do. I'm just trying to stay in the fight. Just keep swinging and ducking. Try to hit more often than I get hit. And, that's basically what he's saying there. I think it's a wise quote to live by.
Well, it is. That's why he's done well everywhere he's gone. Okay. Yo is the UNC meeting. I don't know what that is, but all I know is this is we have a good turnout so far. Okay.
The UNC meeting. That's what he's saying. He's saying the UNC meeting.
Oh, the UNC meeting. Okay. Then some got past me. All right. Jair Alexander hits
Tom didn't go.
Huh?
Tom didn't go.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tommy. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, he's living proof because he got Indiana on probation. He got tempted by recruiting violations.
Yeah.
And could have sidetracked his career completely. He had a chance to go to the NBA and be an assistant coach with the Bucks.
Yeah. And
kind of rebuild himself. And then he was an assistant coach with the Rockets in Houston.
Yeah.
And he must have established himself well because the University of Houston hired him, and he's been there ever since. So he's a walking example of not quitting because he sabotaged himself. He's also he's a Lumbee Indian from North Carolina. The Lumbee Indians go back centuries in North Carolina. And he also, his first job as a graduate assistant was with Judd Heathcote at Michigan State.
Great stuff, Tommy. Sorry about that. I'm glad you got in. All right, well, let's go back to Jeremy Candy compared to Dylan Gabriel's fourth quarter, 6 of 10, 82 yards, 1 TD, 0 picks. Shedeur looks unprepared, of course. He didn't have reps with the first team, but hopefully he'll get that squared away. We're going to talk more about Shedeur Sanders next week on Inside the Pigskin. So who knows, Jeremy, stay on board and on call. Depending on how many people show up, there might be an opportunity for you to come and talk about it a little bit more. Lots to get to tonight. Jair Alexander has informed the Philadelphia Eagles that he's stepping away from football to focus on getting himself physically and mentally. According to Jay Glazer, he was acquired from the Baltimore Ravens, but hasn't played for Philly yet. Steven, you're out there. Let's talk about Jair Alexander.
Yeah, again, we, me, Ben, and Marvin touched on this last week, but again, we always talk about this, that the mental health thing is always first and foremost before football. He was quoted earlier in the week saying his knee felt as best as it has in years, but obviously was kept off the team plane to go to Green Bay. Thought he would have definitely been there just because that was his old team. Didn't work out that way. Then you find that he's having some issues, and we've already seen this with Lane Johnson. A few seasons ago, wound up stepping away for 3-4 weeks just because he wasn't in the right headspace. Mental health awareness is something that you don't see a lot of football players kind of openly sit there and say like, "Hey, I need to step away and have some health." We're just a few weeks removed from a player who was having a mental health crisis and unfortunately took his life. So it's one of those things where, like, listen, football is so far on the back burner on the Jair Alexander situation that I'm all for him. Will I hope that at some point in time that he gets himself right and gets on this team and, gives us another dynamic duo back in the secondary with Quinyon Mitchell? Absolutely. I'd love to have him here as a football player, but he has to have his mind right first and foremost, get himself better, and then, football, whatever happens after that happens. If he retires, he retires. But hopefully he does keep his roots planted here in Philadelphia, and we see him strap it up for my Eagles at some point in time.
All right, Tommy.
Well, it's a sign of the times. A few decades ago, he would have been ridiculed for this.
Right.
And the irony of that is, unless I don't follow him on social media, so I don't know if people have supported him or mocked him. But the irony is that I don't think he is getting criticized like he would be now. And social media is the worst avenue around existing to give somebody like that a hard time. I'm not sure who the first guy was to kind of bring a national awareness or to pro athletes about this, but Kevin Love with the Cavaliers is a very good example.
Right.
I know you start seeing him more in the media after Kevin Love.
Got great points. Okay, Candy.
Jair played 8 seasons in the National Football League. He was selected by the Green Bay Packers in the first round of the 2018 NFL Draft, where he spent 7 seasons. He signed with the Baltimore Ravens in 2025 before being traded to the Eagles mid-season. All of that is for naught. Like everybody's talked about, your mental health comes first. Because if you're not on your game, at the top of your game, you could be, if he goes out there and let's say he plays and he's struggling with things internally, then his head's not really in that game. He could be hurt worse. He could, on the field, we've seen injuries and stuff like that. And let's face it, I mean, not to say that people's heads aren't in the right place, but this past weekend, we saw an NFL player get upset and spit on somebody else, and then the other person threw a punch. So we saw one get tossed out of the game. One's now out for the next game and suspended. Now, I'm not saying that their minds are right or not. That's up to them. But I give Jair a lot of credit taking this and doing this and stepping aside, because an NFL football career is not that long. And so for you to say, you know what, my health is more important, my mental health is more important than me playing and making a lot of money, I give him a lot of credit.
Let's go to the chat room real quick with Jeremy. Love the fact that the Lions in 2022 hired a psychological therapist for their medical team. More power to you. Jamar Chase was unhinged. Okay, go ahead, Mel.
You have to understand, professional athletes, they are human beings first. And
right.
The game is hard enough to play when you don't have all those outside distractions and other things going on in life. I mean, football players, athletes are no different than everyday people. They have things that come up, and for him, his body, he's been hurt a little bit lately. I don't know what's going on in his personal life, but now with what happened with the kid down there in Dallas, you can't take this kind of stuff lightly, whatever it is that he may be going through. So, hopefully during this time, he seeks out whatever help it is that he needs to get his mind back right. If he ever plays football again, it really doesn't matter because football is what he does. It's not who he is. And he has his whole life in front of him. I don't know if he has a wife and kids, but I know he has a mother and a father and that love him dearly. And the world would not be the same if he was no longer in it. So, the most important thing for this young man to do right now is to do what he's doing, to take the time to take care of himself. I was never a person who was in a position where, as in the NFL, where a lot of things depended upon me and my play, and him getting traded, I think, and going to Philadelphia, that's a lot of pressure too. You're the defending Super Bowl champions. He was expected to come in there and fill a void for him immediately, and he just right now not mentally there. And if he's not mentally there, there's no need for him to be out there, because nothing but bad things are going to happen, and it's going to continue to snowball. And who knows where that could go. So I'm glad he's taking this time for himself. And again, if he never plays another down of football, he's got the rest of his life to live, and that's what's most important.
Yeah, more power to him. That's all I can say. Go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, I think Mel hit it on the head. You don't, when he says he needs time away, needs a break, you don't know if it's something happening in his marriage, if his family, something personal, or if it's football head related CTE. You don't know. Fortunately for him, he's in a profession that pays well. So if he's having a bad day, bad month, something's going on, he can step away. People at Costco, people who working at the corner store, people, everybody can't do that. You know what I mean? So he's earned the right to be where he's at. He's earned the right to make that money. And, he's earned the right to step away if he wants to, if he needs to. He's had a really good pro career, but, your career means nothing, compared to your mental state. Again, we've seen so many of these players who had, head-related injuries commit suicide, and it's horrible. So kudos for him for being man enough to be honest about what he needs. I think it's a great example for younger players, younger people, period. And, I wish him and his family well.
And
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the thing about football now, especially NFL players, professional athletes, is they ain't asking for permission no more, because they know if they ask for permission, it's going to be a lot of, hoops to jump through. And I think for a guy like Jair Alexander, what he's saying, he's doing this for more than just him. You know how many players was wanting to step away? They're like, I can't. And Jair was like, well, dude, if you ask, the answer is going to be no, because they're going to put pressure on you to stay. Look, football is temporary. Your life is everything. And some of us, former players, myself, Mel, and obviously Marvin, this was unthinkable. You couldn't even, you would have been ostracized in such a way if you would have done this. And like I said, at the end of the day, man, ain't nobody gonna remember how many games you played, how many plays you made. If you can't remember your kids' names, you can't run around with you. And I think that's what players, the only people that's playing 20-some years anymore is quarterbacks. And they get hit the hardest because they got to stand in one spot and deliver the football. But salute to Jair Alexander, man. He's realizing that, look, the only way football is not going to be your identity if you choose it to be something else. Because unless you do stuff like this, it's all you got. So salute to him. I hope he gets what he needs to get done. And if he never plays football again, dude, you still did it. It's like there's nothing else to prove. You know what I'm saying? He still did it. And like I said, man, I think he's helping a lot more players than he knows, because there are players that don't have the clout, that don't have the notoriety of Jair, that probably can't do it. But I guarantee you the first person going to welcome back, if he does come back, is Lane Johnson. I bet you that's the first person going to meet him when he comes through the door. It's going to be Lane. So shout out to Jair.
Beautiful. All right, you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk to the Lions and Eagles. Stephen, I'll lead off with you. Then you have to take care of business. It's okay. You'll come back afterwards, and we'll just continue to transition through things as you get back. I got plenty of balance on this show to, move through you a little bit and do what we have to do. With that said, let's talk about the Lions and the Eagles. Eagles are the 69 win. And when you look at the fact of the matter is the Lions were a victim of going for 0 for 5 on fourth down. So obviously Dan Campbell played the role of Kenny Rogers, called the gambler, to the point of 0-5. And he did this trick once before. He was 0-6 before, back in, I think, a few years ago. But they had missed opportunities, costly penalties, bad calls. And the Lions simply got bullied on offense, and they got beat up badly. And Jared Goff struggled, obviously. Steven, I don't care about whether the Lions beat the Eagles. I have to deal with you. It doesn't make any difference. The Lions are banged up right now. They're going to get players back. So they have a schedule that could get them in the playoffs, but we're just going to focus on Sunday night's game. What were your takeaways?
The Super Bowl defense is back. That's first and foremost. Everyone's seen the numbers when you get after Jared Goff, and they weren't even really throwing exotic blitzes at him. The fact that that Jaden Phillips was beating Penei Sewell something fierce. The fact that Nakobe Dean was healthy and he was getting after the quarterback and getting in Jared Goff's face was I think a determining factor. I know everyone is upset about the late PI call on Nick Sirianni's boneheaded move going forward on fourth down, but there was as you were saying, there was a bunch of bad calls during that game. There was a bad false start against the Eagles when Detroit's lined up in the neutral zone. There was a bad call on AJ Brown, which is why I assume that he got that call at the end of the game, because he got hit. He stumbled and wound up hitting a Detroit player low. Got hit with a 15-yard below the knees penalty. There was just weird officiating, but the thing that you got to really wrap your head around is Vic Fangio has that defense playing where they were towards the end of last season. And they absolutely need it right now with how bad that offense is sputtering around here in Philadelphia. That's kind of the talk of the town, so to speak. But big win. The Eagles are now 3-0 against the NFC North. Big wins like that help propel you. That they're going to need now that Lane Johnson is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with that Liz Frank injury. But the game itself, man, it was old school football. It was a defensive chess match, and the Eagles got the better of them. So, and yeah, Detroit was banged up, but I don't think their injuries really cost them anything in that game. I mean, obviously, missing your tight end, your security blanket as a quarterback is a big thing. But the way that the wind was swirling, was I think a major factor why Jared played so bad. But just the front four being able to get after Jared and keep him in uncomfortable situations. 5 batted balls. You talked about the 0-5 on fourth down. That's one. You want to take chances. The fake punt, things like that. But the fact that between Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, they had 5 batted balls, and one of them went for an interception that put points on the board. I think that was the kind of big thing right there when you're getting your hands on balls and changing how the quarterback is going to move when he's trying to release the ball. When you're already getting knocked around like a pinball, it was just a bad day for Jared Goff. You don't really see those type of performance out of him. People were trying to throw the weather thing into it. I don't want to hear that. I really don't. I think it was just Vic Fangio had a great game plan against it. The guys on the field are the ones that were able to execute it. And, only giving up 9 points to a team that over the past few years have averaged 30 points or more.
Right.
That's a feather in Vic's cap right there. That's why that game was won by the Philadelphia Eagles. Not the referees, not the injuries. Vic Fangio won that game.
The reality is Dan Campbell's not going to sit there and let the Sam Laporta injury bother him. He knows what he has to do. Lions are used to injuries. They just fill in the blanks. Thanks to Brad Holmes. All right, Steven, see you in about 10, 15 minutes. Take care, Mama. And we'll go ahead and we'll keep rolling. No, it's okay. That's why I had this topic in here, so I put it in my pocket. I know how you operate. Go, get out of here and see you in about 10, 15 minutes.
See you in about a minute.
All right, you got it. All right, Tom, you know the topic. Talk about the Lions and Eagles. Go ahead. Yeah,
the Eagles have been the most consistent team in the NFL. They have 2 losses, and other teams only have 2 losses. But if you were to chart their peaks and valleys, I don't think anybody the Eagles – I think other teams have deeper valleys than the Eagles have shown so far this year. They just seem to be solid all the way around, good depth. The team is well put together, well balanced. And this was a tough game for them because the Lions are pretty geared up to reestablish their season, and the Eagles fended them off. So the Eagles have to be the favorite to repeat. We still got a long ways to go. The NFL is always 2 or 3 seasons. And so we're 10, 11 games into it now. 6 and 7 more games is a lot.
Andy,
So I know we're talking about Phillies and Detroit. If you would have told me before the game that the Philadelphia Eagles were going to hold the Lions to just 74 yards rushing with the duel that they have, I would have said no way. And that's partly why you guys didn't win, I think, because Philly did not run all over the board with you guys. I mean, they only scored 16 points. It's not like they put up 40 or anything like that. Your defense came to play. Time of possession, though, the Eagles held the ball for 35 minutes compared to the Lions only 24. Jared Goff just did not get into a rhythm. He looked, and part of it is, and I saw a stat, I don't remember where I saw it, but part of it is he does not do well in cold weather games. I guess he's starting to get used to playing in, Ford Field. So when he was out in the elements and with that wind and cold, he just didn't perform like his normal self. But it's not like the Eagles, yes, their defense was dominant. I get that. But it's not like their offense is really clicking on all cylinders. Like I said, they didn't score 40 on you guys. They scored 16. And they didn't score that many on the Packers either. So, yes, they have wins over both of us, but they're not big, convincing wins. So I think they're still a beatable team. Just my 2 cents.
so the bottom line is the Lions can thank Kelvin Shepherd for keeping them in this football game without the defense or meat. Go ahead, Ben.
The thing about this Lions team that should give them a lot of concern is every time a team beats them, they always do 2 things. They take away the run game and they take away Amon St. Brown. That's what happened when they played the Chiefs and they got beat. And that's what happened when they played Philadelphia, because Philly knows this. They go, look, James Williams and stuff, I mean, he's a good player, but he's not going to be the player that's going to beat you. The guy that makes them go on offense, as far as like catching the football, is Amon St. Brown. And if you can't get something out of, if Montgomery doesn't play well and Jahmyr Gibbs have to play well, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if you are the Lions, I mean, if you are Coach Campbell, you should be very concerned. That entire division has caught up to them. Chicago is playing well. Minnesota got J.J. McCartney, and Green Bay is playing well. They're gonna have to find a way to, they're gonna have to find a way to keep this thing afloat, because you're gonna have to meet teams like Philadelphia to win it. No one cares what you do against teams that don't meet the talent threshold. The Philadelphia Eagles are defending champions, and they playing with defense right now, even with, what they're not doing on offense. So if you are Jared Goff, if you are Williams, if you are Brown, if you are Montgomery, if you are Gibbs, you got to find a way to not look like that. You got way too many weapons on offense to look like that. And Philadelphia is finding a way to win ugly. They don't care about what's going on or not going on, the lack of production on offense. They saying, dude, we want to win. So if you are the Lions, you should be concerned, because they took everything away from you. Took the running game away from you, took your passing game away from you, took your juice away from you. And like Candy said, it's not like they was looking like world beaters on the other side of the ball. They said, if our offense look bad, we're going to make sure y'all offense look worse. And that's what they did. So it does surprise me, because the Eagles are a team that doesn't care how they look winning. They just want to win. And if you are the Lions, people kept wondering, when was Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn's absence going to start showing? It's showing. I know they've won certain games, but to be able to, you see what Ben Johnson in Chicago's doing, and obviously, unfortunately, Aaron Glenn, he's just going to freaking Tyrod Taylor, over Justin Fields. But I just think that for the Lions, it should be a lot of concern, because you gotta find a way to, stay afloat in that division. I don't think they're gonna win it. I don't think they're gonna win it this year. And if you are the Eagles, hey man, a win is a win. I mean, you can deal with that offense for another week, but it is much easier to come back to work when you're in the win column. That Jalen Phillips trade is looking really, really good for the Philadelphia Eagles right now.
Great points. Okay, Mel.
Well, I look at it, when Dan Campbell goes forward on 4th down, I like it. Obviously, he has a lot of confidence. It's showing the offense that he has a lot of confidence in the offense, that he believes that his guys are better than their guys. But I just didn't like the play calling that he used. I mean, he went to their strength right up the middle. I think there was one time Jameson dropped the ball, And I don't recall what happened the fifth time. I think I fell asleep by that point. But I don't mind him being aggressive because the one thing he knew is that if he could get a lead against Philadelphia, he knew it would be very difficult for them to come back with the way that their passing game has been going, where their offense has just kind of been, it hasn't been as prolific as a lot of people would like for it to be, because, unfortunately, Jalen Hurts is he's kind of off and on. So I believe he felt if he could put that pressure on him early and they get out to a lead, then they could rely on the run game. Philadelphia did a good job of shortening the game. The Lions only had, Candy alluded to it, the time of possession. I think they only ran about 58 plays in that game. That's not a lot of plays. And Jared never could get into a rhythm because they kept getting stopped on fourth down. And so he never could get into the rhythm. And then, the book is kind of out on Jared. You rush him up the middle, put that pressure on him up the middle. If you don't get there, get your hands up, because he kind of has the way he delivers the ball is kind of from the side a little bit, and you have an opportunity to bat the ball down. But I don't have a problem with Dan Campbell going for it. You could see, he's calling the plays, and it just shows you how important it is, how important play callers are. I know a lot of people they see those charts and they see people with those big charts on the sidelines, and you think you're just calling plays. It's more to it than just that. Sometimes you might call a play just to see what the defense is going to do, how they're going to react to it, so you can set them up for something else later on during the course of a game. And you have to get a feel for that. And the Lions' window of opportunity was really the last couple of years when we knew that the offensive coordinator eventually was going to get a job. We knew that was going to happen. Ben Johnson was just too talented. People are just so enamored with these whiz kids and the offenses that they're able to, these prolific offenses. We knew he wasn't going to be there forever. And so it's difficult. Now Dan is trying to take over the play calling duties. He doesn't have the same kind of rhythm, the same kind of flow that Ben Johnson had. He's, you can call the same plays, but if you're not calling them at the right time in the right situations, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. And I know Dan believes that he just, if we just do each one of the players do their jobs, then they should be able to dominate the line of scrimmage. It doesn't always work that way. And, they have two real good guys in the interior that you have to deal with, and their offensive line is not the same as it was last year. You got different guys in there this year than you had last year. So you're getting different results. But I like the fact that he's aggressive as an offensive player. I would love that. But, obviously, now they got to kind of lick their wounds, and, they got a tough stretch coming up here. And, a lot can change in the next 7 games. That division is extremely tough. I don't think there's a team under 500. I think Chicago's leading the division, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be a very, very tough stretch here. And a lot of these games, those last few games, are going to be divisional opponents. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
Marvin?
A few shows ago, we had asked, what would happen with Goff with his offensive coordinator gone. You see it. That offense went to Chicago. Chicago balling right now. In regards to Philly, listen, that defense, this is a championship defense. They have premier receivers who they struggle to get the ball to, and they got Saquon Barkley. Philly's tough, man, and the reality is they can get better. And that's what's scary about them. They can get better. So watch out for Philly. In regards to Detroit and Dan Campbell calling plays, 2 weeks ago he was a talk of the town calling plays. Last week not so much. But the story here is Philly, how good they looked on D and how much better they can get this year.
Yeah, good points all the way around. Let me just point this out. A year ago, when you think about it, Ben Johnson had 284 points, and now Dan Campbell with 283, comparing 24 and 25. Great points all the way around. All right, well, let's revisit UCLA Bruins. This is what I really like to talk about. But on September 13th, obviously, we know that the Bruins have paid New Mexico $1.2 million to lose 35-10. Entering Jerry Neuheisel was the answer following a 38-13 blowout of Michigan State. That wasn't too fun, right, Tommy? Jerry Neuheisel, as the offensive coordinator, first 4 games, they had 57 points scored. Following the 2 games, they had 80 points, and they're currently 3-7, following a 48-10 loss to the Ohio State Buckeyes, and now it's almost a done deal that they're planning to leave the Rose Bowl, which I think would be a good move for UCLA. But they're still waiting on who the next coach will be. But the biggest important thing I like about this UCLA thing is the fact that even after the coaching change, UCLA did not lose a single player in the transfer portal. That to me, I'm going to lead off with Mel on this. I know this one hits you closer to home. I hit you with a lot. Let's talk about not losing a player in the transfer portal and talk about the circle of events surrounding everything that I talked about, Mel.
Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. They didn't lose any players in the transfer portal because of the way that their payments were set up.
Really?
The way the players get paid. If they decided that they didn't want to play anymore or didn't want to be at UCLA anymore, they got a check in October. They had a check coming in October, like I think the first week of October. And if they wanted to get that check, they needed to be there. So that kind of closed that window for the guys to have the opportunity to leave. But, what point is it leaving at the beginning of the season? You can't play anymore. You can't transfer to one school and go to another school and start playing. So you might as well just play it on out and transfer it at the end of the year. I don't, that window doesn't make any sense to me. But, with UCLA, we're taking it on the chin right now. The last couple of weeks have been tough, but what I can say is I like the fight in the guys. Nico didn't play last week, gave us an opportunity to look at this other kid. I like the fight in them a lot more so than what I saw in the first few weeks of the season. I think the future is going to be bright for UCLA. I know they've been looking at some guys. They've been talking about this coach from James Madison, but he's also. I think Penn State's also looking at him as well, and the guy is from Pennsylvania, so that could be a tough sell. The problem with UCLA is not so much getting the head coach, it's the assistant coaches, because it's so expensive to live out there. $250,000 in Athens, Georgia spends a lot differently than $250,000 in Westwood. You can live like a king here in Athens. In Westwood, you got a little, you're staying in the dorms or something like that. It's just not the same. So that's the biggest problem, is being able, and you need to have quality assistant coaches in order to succeed. I mean, the head coach, yeah, he's the CEO, he's overseeing everything. But I remember we had great assistant coaches that really taught us the game of football when I was there at UCLA. And when I got to the pros, I was a lot more prepared than kids that came from other programs, whether it be Oklahoma, Nebraska, Miami, or some of those other programs. We were just that much further ahead because of what we were taught at UCLA. And even the guys from USC, they didn't know anything. They just give them a ball and tell them to go on out there and just run. But I think the future is bright for UCLA, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen here in the next couple of months and who we're going to get in there as a head coach.
Yeah, and also obviously you got to be pleased with the potential possibility they're going to go to SoFi and leave the Rose Bowl. Is that correct?
Oh, I think that's great. I think it's going to be great for the students. It's going to make it a little bit easier commute. I think the parking is probably going to be a lot better. Heck, I might even go out there and see a few more games, because going to the Rose Bowl, it's tough. That's an all-day adventure, man. That's the worst thing I ever did. That was horrible.
Or we'll go to another LA guy. Marvin, what we're going to do the rest of the way, since Mel, obviously, he's a UCLA guy. Marvin, just give us your overall assessment about where the UCLA program is. Obviously, they paid New Mexico a little bit of money, but overall, let's just talk about the overall where UCLA stands now, Marvin.
Yeah, well, listen, I think with the NIL and transfer portal, I love them both. I think they're great for the student athletes. But you got to have guardrails. You got to have rules in place. It's really sad that we're celebrating the fact that no players left at the beginning of the season. You shouldn't leave. You shouldn't quit on your team in the middle of the season. If you want to leave at the end of the year, fine. But to say that they didn't leave, look, at the end of the day, every one of those players want to leave. Every single one of the players want to leave. Mel just told you they didn't leave because they wouldn't get their money. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reality of the situation. And in regards to this team, going to SoFi versus the Rose Bowl, I think in college it's tough when you don't have a home stadium. You don't have a stadium on campus. That makes the experience so much different. Personally, I like the Rose Bowl. We played there every other year. I played there in the actual Rose Bowl game. Mel is right. It's an all-day event. It's a hike. You're fully committing to that day when you go to the Rose Bowl Stadium itself. But listen, NIL is here. UCLA was smart to keep these kids, to get these kids into contracts that don't allow them to leave. I think every school should do something like that. And I think the institute or whatever governing body is going to control college football moving forward, they need to institute something that forces these kids to go back to the real commitment. When I went to school, when Ben went to school, when Mel went to school, you were there for 4 years, 4 or 5 years. That was it. You planted your flag and that was it. Now there's a business side to it, and that's cool. And I'm with that, and I support that. But you should definitely have something in place to keep these kids on the team and just keep that culture. Because at the end of the day, it's okay to change jobs. It's okay to change companies. It's okay to change schools. But when you join a football team, when you join a team, that commitment is real. You know what I'm saying? You guys are going to war together. You know what I mean? You train all summer. You train all spring together. You build that camaraderie. The coaches can get a chance to kind of evaluate talent, see who's who. This idea of jumping ship needs to get out of here. I hate that for any school who's dealing with that, to be honest with you. In regards to UCLA, the state of their program, it's a dumpster fire. They're losing recruits left and right. Hopefully they find somebody to get in there, some leader to get in there. I think, again, it's a school who can get a big name because it's UCLA has a proud athletic tradition. In spite of their recent football years, they have a proud athletic tradition. They have historic players at all sports, men's and women's. It's in LA, Westwood. If you haven't been there, it's beautiful out there. It's much different than USC. USC is in an urban area. It's a diamond in the rough at USC. UCLA, you pretty much in Beverly Hills. You know what I mean? So very attractive out there. If you're a student, if you just live out there. But yeah, this the idea of jumping ship when your team is down. That's not winning culture for your team or for you. And I think as a player, it speaks back of your own personal brand that you would do that to your team. And if I was a coach on another team, I'd be hesitant to bring that player in. I would, because at the end of the day, yeah, you want your money and that's okay, but there's a team aspect to this thing as well that has to stay in place, I think.
Yeah, what's interesting, you talk about the situation in the Rose Bowl. I live it here in Miami with the Canes, Hurricanes playing at Hard Rock, so I can appreciate where you're talking about not having an on-campus stadium. I'll leave it at that. Ben, go ahead.
Well, I think Mel just gave the blueprint for the guardrails, right? People look, no one ever talks about the NCAA doing anything about the guardrails because they don't want to do anything. The NCAA don't want nothing to do with setting rules and regulations and guidelines when it comes to NIL. Well, if you are UCLA, they just showed, hey, we understand that we are in the NIL era. We understand that you guys want your money. Well, your money is predicated on your presence. Okay, that's a lot of jobs. There's a lot of situations say, if you're not a salary, if you don't show up, you don't get paid. Okay. But I also think something that Marvin said, UCLA need to flex their muscle and say, hey, dude, there are a lot of schools in this country that don't got the pedigree that we have. I know we haven't looked the part as of late. A lot of schools haven't. A lot of schools have not looked the part as of late. But geographical location got to matter. Do you really think players want to play for Hawaii or do they want to live there? They want to live there. That's why, where you going? University of Hawaii? Why? Because it's Hawaii. Even if I lose, I can't lose because of where I am. If you are UCLA, you got to be aggressive out there because I think the one thing about UCLA that they need to have when it comes to coaches, teams like, Florida and LSU and Virginia Tech, even though they got James Franklin, flex your muscle, man. We UCLA, we want a big name. A big name means I don't got to introduce him after I tell you his name. I don't got to give you his resume. I don't got to say he did this and he did that because sometimes you want to take a big name and put it with a big brand. UCLA is a big brand. And you want to, so when it comes to these coaches, nothing against Coach Foster that was a former Bruin. It's like, dude, you got to know where you at. Because like I said, I played with a lot of guys that went to SC, but they would always talk about how nice UCLA was, man. They say, yeah, man, everybody think when you come to, SC, you're going to be out here in the Beverly Hills. You in SoCal, no doubt about it. But you in a different part of SoCal. But yeah, UCLA is in a good position from this standpoint. There are a lot of schools looking for coaches, a lot of them. But all of them ain't got the brand name that UCLA has. Like when you talk about West Coast teams, you talk about UCLA, you talk about SC, you might talk about Oregon and UW. And that's it. That is the list of teams out there. So I think for UCLA, they got to be aggressive. And here's the thing. I think coaching in California is like coaching in the South. You got to have some type of California ties. I mean, I like California, but my Southern twang ain't gonna make it. It's just not. Because you got to go into these living rooms and talk to these young men. You got to be able to understand where they live, why they should come to you. That kind of stuff matters at a place like UCLA. So I see them getting a guy that either played in the Pac-12, understands the West Coast lingo. Because if you don't think that kind of stuff matters, ask Chip Kelly.
Right.
Ask him when he was there. Chip Kelly was the head coach at UCLA. Why? Because, I still don't understand that. And he's the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. How? Anyway, that's another show for another day. I think that Brian Kelly, when he was at LSU, asked him why having Southern ties matter, because you walking into these homes. You shouldn't walk into somebody's house asking their mom, what are you cooking? You don't know what this is? No, what is that? Get the hell out. You don't even know what my mom cooking, man. How you want me to come to your school? Stop it. Culture matters. It matters at UCLA. Mel, I think y'all gonna get a good one. And if y'all don't, that's shame on the whole athletic department, because I don't care what you haven't done. Big brands, that stuff only matters to small brands. You a big brand, I can still get who I want. I don't care what we haven't done. So that's why I'm not in coaching now, because look, man, you coach at UCLA, that's big time. But as a person that played for the Raiders, the cost of living in California, my God, I was like, dude, like, man, like it costs what? For this one bedroom, it costs what? $3,500.
Yeah. Well,
It ain't even got no kitchen. Oh, this is the kitchen. Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't know. But yeah, but I do hope they get them a good one, man. UCLA deserves that, because what SC is doing, SC showed you, if we want them, we'll snatch them. Lincoln Riley, he done came out and said, I am not leaving SC. Why? Because, I mean, it's not going to get better than as far as like the money, the location, the opportunity. I think UCLA should be aggressive just like that. And I hope they do. I really hope they do.
Candy, that's what you're missing in California. Be glad you're in Florida. Okay. So with that said, we'll turn it over to you, Candy. Your take on UCLA.
So all the points that we've talked about, I mean, who wouldn't? Everybody, let's face it, everybody's looking for the next Kurt Signitti. Indiana. He's taken the Indiana program from nothing to relevant and then some in just a couple of years. So every UCLA, you've got the pedigree behind you. You've got the name. You've got the pretty backdrop. Who wouldn't want to go there? So now go out there and find who is the best for you and go get them. Because, yeah, UCLA is a landing spot, not a dumpster fire. And as far as this NIL and transfer, I'm glad they had to stay, because you hated to see the bowl game where the team had to forfeit because they didn't have enough players because they had all transferred out, and that's just sad. These kids went to school to play the game, and just because a coach is no longer there to transfer mid-season, there's no, even if you wanted to transfer and go play for somebody else, there's somebody already else there. Let the season play out and then figure out, and don't be so quick to just jump ship. Maybe the coach that they're going to bring in is going to be the best thing for you instead of, putting your name in the transfer portal.
Great point. Stephen, you want to talk about this or you want to move on from it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say. I mean, okay. UCLA has produced what? A handful of all-time greats in the last 20 years. So, I mean,
right.
I mean, they're in the...
Excuse me?
A handful.
Excuse me? In the last 20 years? A handful, yeah. In the last 100 years, a lot. But 20 years? What y'all done, man?
I mean, some of the most important figures in sports have come out of UCLA. What are you talking about? Now, understand this. I understand UCLA is a basketball school. The further and further I've gotten away from being there at UCLA, the more I understand that UCLA is a basketball school. John Wooden put UCLA on the map with what they did in basketball. I was fooling myself when I was there thinking that UCLA was a football school. We thought it was, we thought we were doing something. We weren't doing a whole lot. we know what the guys in basketball, what they're doing for the basketball team. We know how they were living. We weren't living like they were living. Basketball players, they were getting that NIL money way back then, man. I can tell you that Reggie Miller was living in Bel Air, driving a Porsche, driving a BMW. Jack Haley, he had a Porsche with the front windshield tinted. I'd never seen that before, man. He had the front windshield tinted in his car. Those guys are getting paid. Walt Hazzard was taking care of his guys. Pooh Richardson came from Philadelphia. Those guys always had money in his pocket. Always, man. Those guys were getting taken care of, living good. I can tell you that. UCLA is a basketball school. Now, it's going to depend. What's going to happen is going to depend upon whether or not they're really serious about being a football school, whether they're serious about winning in football.
Mel, I think the biggest thing
is
getting your guys a big coach during the offseason, whether it be somebody the likes of a John Gruden or something like that. You have to get that. You're going to have to get a splash. Don't shake your head, Ben. We already talked about this last week. Don't shake your head, Ben.
But I mean,
if they get John Gruden, they are not serious about football. If they get John Gruden, they are not serious about football. For the simple fact that I was on the Tampa Bay Bucks in 2008. I was on that team, right? That was the last time. That was before he left football and then came back with the Raiders. Here's the thing about John Gruden. John Gruden is great for sound bites and he knows offense. That's why John Gruden ain't nothing but an older Chip Kelly. They thought Chip Kelly was going to do that, and Chip Kelly had them. Chip Kelly. Had them boys out there doing calisthenics on the field. Come on. I'm just saying.
John Gruden's an older Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly's not older than John Gruden.
Chip Kelly's older than John Gruden.
I mean, they
about to either. Well, here's the thing. If you put the number one in front of Chip Kelly and if you put the number one in front of Chip Kelly and John Gruden, you're gonna have the number 100 because I think they're both zeros. They are not UCLA head coaches. Not in 2025, Mel. 2025.
I'm not asking for John Gruden.
The fact that John Gruden.
I'm going to get to John Gruden in a minute. Steven, I'll tell you what, I can't send you any more topics anymore, you sicker man. Otherwise, you're going to overlap and kill me. So from now on, I'm not sending you any more topics anymore. This is a cheat sheet. You're killing me.
But yeah, let's be clear. Steve said in the last 20 years, they haven't produced but a few guys, and that's true. UCLA's greatest history goes, way back. You're talking about the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. This is when, and they win the championship in 95 in basketball. But since the year 2000, what has UCLA done in anything? You know what I'm saying? Prior to that, yes, they got history, numbers, championships, but yeah.
In anything? What are you talking about?
What have y'all done in 20? Y'all could be Kennesaw State.
We haven't done nothing in softball.
That's where we're going now. Softball. That's a mic drop. That's a mic drop.
You said anything. You said anything.
I don't care.
Beach volleyball.
You said volleyball.
You said anything. You said anything.
Now, you're reaching now, brother.
Gymnastics.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start sending you my version of my written topics.
You said anything.
Softball, bro. We done.
But you said anything.
That's how you know a man is lost. He brought up softball and football.
We do great. We do great in the Olympic sports. Okay. We do great in the Olympic sports.
Holding on to Troy Aikman. I mean,
that was 50 years ago.
50.
Talking about
Maurice Jones-Drew, something like that. I mean, I think who else?
Got guys all over the place. Hold on.
You got the GOAT. You got the GOAT. Mercedes Lewis is still in the league, baby. He's still getting it done.
There you go. He's still getting a check.
And I think he drives a BMW though. I don't know if he drives Mercedes though.
He's still getting a check.
For the record, John Gruden is.
If we're going to talk about UCLA greats, we got to mention that Kenny easily passed away because he was one of the greatest safeties of all time.
A couple days ago. They're hiding that too.
But I want to say, it's a shameful state of college football that UCLA, with their great history, is in this predicament. Normally Tim Skipper, the interim coach, and then Jerry Neuheisel with his new play calling. They've revitalized the energy on that team.
Yeah,
and that used to be what you look for in a coach and a program is energy. So they've got it, but there's so many more factors.
Yeah, they got to get some horses.
NIL money, guys transferring out in the portal. college football is just in a disgraceful state. And Mel, that's the first time I've heard about payments on a schedule. I thought all the schools just paid their players a lump sum.
Well, that's smart.
And-
That's smart.
No, we had asked that question.
What I'm trying to say, though, is Mel makes a good point that they were smart. Well, what's to stop Alabama or Ohio State from taking that same kid and saying, we're going to give you all the money right now? So that's the shameful state of college sports. And as far as SoFi Stadium, when UCLA used to play at the Coliseum, USC and UCLA shared the stadium. And that damn Al Davis, the grifter that he is, when the Raiders came there, they made the Coliseum made UCLA feel like the third wheel. And so that's why they went to the Rose Bowl. And then they tore out the Olympic track for Al Davis.
Yeah.
The history of the Coliseum is track as well as football. And so it's just a disgrace. UCLA's been caught in a lot of bad turn of events in college football. And from everything that we've discussed, Ben mentioned in meeting the parents, getting to know the parents. And Mel, you'll like this story. I got to add this story. When Hayden Fry at Southern Methodist was the first school to desegregate in the Southwest Conference, signed Jerry Levias out of Beaumont, Texas. I wrote about this. This is in my book, The Right Thing to Do. Jerry talked about how his grandmother and his parents had houses right next to each other. And Levias and Hayden Fry came down with an assistant coach, the superintendent of the Beaumont schools. They came in about 2 or 3 cars. And one of the guys had a big cowboy hat on. And they all went to Jerry's parents' house. And the neighbors all thought that the Texas Patrol, whatever they call it back there, Texas Highwaymen, they were worried that they were doing some kind of arrest. Well, Hayden Fry went into the grandma's house, and he's talking to her, and she was cooking beans, and he's talking to her about how to cook beans. And after that, the grandma was telling Jerry Levias, "You're going to Southern Methodist."
Interesting. All right, let's continue. Let's continue on here. I'm sure this is unbelievable watching everybody in action. Candy laughing. So with that said, okay,
Hey, you got the age?
Yes, John Gruden is 3 months older than Chip Kelly. He is 62. Chip Kelly's birthday is actually next week, Tuesday, November 25th.
Okay, with that said, let's go over to John Gruden real quick. We're going to go rapid fire in a little bit here. John Gruden did win a lawsuit versus the NFL. Tommy, I'll tell you what, we will go rapid fire on this. Where will he land if he lands anywhere, Tommy?
Yeah, if he lands anywhere, yeah, he hasn't been a head coach since 2021.
Right.
It's kind of like Bill Belichick couldn't get a head coaching job, and North Carolina was dumb enough to him. $50 million, really, 5 years. So nobody's done that yet for Gruden, which says a lot about him.
So do you think he's going to land anywhere?
Who knows? Who knows?
Okay. All right, Steven. Like I said, the new rule is from now on with you, I send you the paper topic so you can't screw it up and everybody else.
Like Gruden. I didn't say John Gruden.
I'm messing with you.
In a bunch there, buddy.
I'm messing with you. Go ahead. Answer the question.
Listen, we brought this up last week. Me and Ben, right? We were talking about it because Giants fans were already on the let's bring in John Gruden bandwagon. As you just said, he's in the middle of a lawsuit with the NFL. That is all of it's about to become public.
Well, he won it.
No, he wanted to become public. He hasn't won the lawsuit yet. Okay. It's because he was fighting to get so he didn't want a moderator. He wanted a jury and for everything to be public. He got that. He's going to get that. So let's start this off. He is not going back to the NFL, and this is exactly why he hasn't gotten a job in the NFL. Okay. I do think he will land somewhere in college after this lawsuit is over. Where that is for anyone. Eddie was asking us in the chat room last week. Where do we think he was going to go? Is he going to go to Florida? I don't know where he's going to end up. Wherever it's going to be, it's going to be some something that's going to placate to him, whether it be a UCLA, whether it be a Penn State, something. It's gonna have to be a big program, and it's gonna have to be some. He is a geek when it comes to football. He absolutely loves what he does. He's enjoying his time at Barstool Sports. So I could be way off on this. He could be sitting there drinking margaritas and taking more of David Potney's money. I don't know. I don't have an exact thing. I do think he will wind up in college at some point in time over the next few years.
That's good enough for me, Stephen. Thank you very much. Okay, you get the regular typed out topics, just because I know he doesn't like my penmanship and he doesn't hesitate to let me know. Candy, yeah, I know how to get to this guy now. Just go ahead and send him the paper topics and say, I deal with it, and that's all. No, don't do that. Just send me the rest of the stuff. Say, I know how to get to it too. All right, Candy, give me your best hypothesis. Educated guess. Want to get to a few more topics. Station break coming up.
I think he's going to land in college. I think a splash would be LSU or Florida. I know they're going after Lane Kiffin, but I don't know that Lane's going to move on. So I think that it could be one of those. Just a thought.
Okay, Ben.
He better not go to Florida. He better not. I don't care where he goes. Just don't. The thing, look, John Gruden is a big name, and what I'll never understand, and maybe Mel and Marvin can help me understand this, right? Some of these coaches can live off these legacies forever. Like, they haven't been good for a long time. People, their names keep coming up. John Gruden won a Super Bowl in 2002. 2002. And he only won it because he went up against Rich Gannon, Tim Brown, and Jerry Rice. That's the starting receivers at quarterback, because he just coached them a year ago. That whole plane was lit up with Ben Gay and Jared Hall in the back of it. That's who he had to beat in 2002. And I mean that humbly. I just hope that if John Gruden does end up in college, it'll be somewhere like Oklahoma State, Oregon State. Because if a team like LSU or Florida gets John Gruden, that athletic director is going to get fired. Because John Gruden's going to get fired. Because outside, he's going to be good. He's going to have the Deion Sanders effect. He's going to be good for business. He's going to be good for memorabilia. He's going to be good for making bucks. But winning, I don't know. Because college is a different game. You run colleges, you got to be able to deal with the NIL situation, deal with the transfer portal, because Nick Saban, as great as he was, he never won in the NIL era. You notice? He never won. He got out. Because he knows now I really got to compete with spending money with the Texas A&Ms and the Texas of the world. John Gruden, he's going to end up somewhere because people are going to say his name enough that somebody's going to be dumb enough to bring him on. But, I mean, how many wise two bananas can you call? I mean, I'm just saying, like, he knows if you ain't coached football in 4 years and you're still breaking down film, that's a different type of individual, people. He is breaking down film right now in the dark. And that's what he loves to do. So somebody's going to get him. I just hope to God it is not Florida. You can go to LSU, right? You can go to UAB. You can go to Oregon State. You can go to UCLA if you want to. Mel shaking his head. I don't see John Gruden going to schools like that though. But somebody, if Trent Dilfer could get a head coaching job, no offense, Trent, somebody's going to get John Gruden. Somebody's going to get him.
That's so funny. I swear to God, some of the choices you put out there, I couldn't hold back on this one. I needed that.
Oh, man.
All right, go ahead. That was a good one, Ben. I'm proud of you, brother, for that. You had me laughing. LOL, I guess is what they call it. Go ahead, Mel. We have a station break coming up in a moment. Then we have a lot more fresh hay on the way. Go ahead, Mel.
Yeah, I'm sure that with all the positions, the jobs that are available in college football is kind of different this year because you got big time programs looking at hiring coaches, and then somebody's going to leave. That wherever program they leave, they're going to be looking for a coach as well. So it wouldn't surprise me that if he got hired during this hiring cycle, do I think he's going to go to one of those big brands? I'm like Ben. I don't think so. I really don't. He's been out of coaching for a long time. Now, all it takes is one person to fall in love with him, athletic director, president, or something like that, to fall in love with him, and he can get one of those big time jobs. But I really don't see that happening. I don't see anybody doing that, and I certainly hope that he's not on UCLA's radar. To be honest with you, I mean, I like him. I think he's what he's did in the past has been great. Yeah, He's won a Super Bowl, so he's a made man, but that was a long time ago, as Ben talked about. That was a long, long time ago. And I believe that's what Tony Dungy's players, and he did it against his old team, so he had an advantage there as well. But I think there's a great possibility that he could find himself with a job in this hiring cycle.
Marvin?
Well, to Mel's point, a long time ago isn't bad. I mean, UCLA was good a long time ago, and we still have a little bit of respect for them. So we still respect the stats on any level at any time.
We'll see you November 29th.
In regards to John Gruden, whether he's in college or the NFL, when he's in that team meeting, he's speaking to majority Black men. And my question is going to be, how is it going to go over when you look at what happened to him in the NFL, the emails that leaked and what he said about DeMaurice Smith having big lips? I mean, how if you're a parent, right, and and John Gruden's recruiting your son, how do you really feel about that? You know what I'm saying? If you're an NFL vet, you 35 years old, you've been in the league, 14 years. This dude walk up in there and what he's talking about privately. How do you really feel about that? Now, honestly, being the son of a player, I think it's a business approach. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But you got a lot of people who feel some kind of way about that. And that's something that ain't being discussed.
All right, Candy, time for a station break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about our feature topic of the night. How are this year's NFL quarterback prospects doing? Go ahead, Candy.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the industry and how it has evolved. Old school media versus new school media. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. SouthFloridaTribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, or even be on a show, be a guest, or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you see the red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you have not subscribed to us. Please do so. Turn on your notifications as well, and tell all your friends and family. We'd love to have more. If you have comments, you can always comment in our chat room too, though. Anything else, Scott?
No, that's about it. Let's go to our feature topic of the night.
Okay.
We're talking about the NFL Combine. We talked a lot about quarterbacks. Well, guess what? We're going to talk about quarterbacks. I'm going to list a bunch of names. We don't have to break down every one. We'll just go over a bunch of them. Everybody gets their piece of the action here. Okay, and that's this. We're going to track them. Out of Minnesota, you had Max Brogman. Missouri put out there Brady Cook. Ole Miss, we know about Jackson Dart. Texas had Quinn Ewers. Oregon had Dylan Gabriel. Memphis has Seth Henigman. Ohio State, Will Howard. Notre Dame had Riley Leonard. Syracuse had Kyle McCord. Florida had Graham Mertz. Then you have Alabama, Jalen Milroe. Indiana had Curtis Rourke. Colorado had Shedeur Sanders. Louisville had Tyler Shough. And Miami had Cam Ward. Okay, Tommy, obviously you follow the college ones. Which one of these impresses you the most about where they're at? I know there are a lot of who?
I think it's pretty easy to say Jackson Dart of the Giants.
Okay.
But it's disgrace. I got to repeat what Jeff Saturday said on ESPN about Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders. He said it's malpractice. The guy had never taken a snap with the first team before he gets thrown into a game. Does Stefanski have some kind of grudge against Sanders because Dylan Gabriel was his guy? We know that. Is he upset at the Browns for taking Sanders? Does he have some kind of grudge against Deion Sanders? It's disgraceful the way Stefanski's handled this.
Yeah, you can't do that to a quarterback, not putting him with the first string. Steven, I put a bunch of names out there. Obviously, Shedeur's. Any other ones that stand out to you?
No, I mean Tom's dead on with both of his comments there. Jackson Dart has not only wowed, but he is proven that despite the fact of being absolutely misused by Brian Dable, I don't know why you're trying to use him as a running back, having him getting concussed and things of that nature. But he's actually proved that he's part of the crop that's going to change the culture there for the New York Giants. But and the second side of that is absolutely agreed that what Kevin Stefanski has done, the entire Shedeur Sanders situation has been mishandled on every level.
Oh, yeah.
Every single level, they have mishandled this guy. It's already been put out there that the front office is the one that made him draft Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, Kevin has been the Dylan Gabriel guy. The fact that we're still at this time today, like you basically today or tomorrow, he's gonna finally get first team reps. The fact that we're 3/4 of the way through the season, he's your backup quarterback, and he hasn't been getting first is absolutely malpractice on every level. I don't know if it's a personal thing, if it's he just doesn't want it because the front office wants it. But if he doesn't figure out some common ground with it right now, he's gonna find his way out of Cleveland. That's all I'm gonna say about what Kevin Stefanski's doing. As far as the rest of the guys, no one has really kind of stood out. I know Quentin Ewers has gotten some snaps. Cam Ward is taking a bulk of it, but he's playing with an absolutely inept team down there with the Titans. So he's just trying to survive the season at this point in time, and he's having a hard time doing it. So can't really get a gauge on what Cam Ward is or isn't at this time, but we know Jackson Dart is going to be a superstar. They're going to have a top pick. He's going to get Cam Scadoo back, who was looking amazing before he had his injury. Malik Neighbors is out. They're going to get him back. They're going to get another piece behind him. And if the Giants are smart, they find the best lineman in the draft and go get him and put him on that offensive line, because Jackson Dart is going to be a problem for the rest of the NFC East for at least the next 3 to 4 or 5 years.
Okay, Candy.
So yes, I mean obviously Jackson Dart, he's had the most success. The whole Shedeur Sanders, let's face it, you draft him, you put him on a team with 5 quarterbacks to start the year, and then you slowly start picking them away, and one's on injured reserve, and you trade this one and you trade that one, and then you're down to 2, and you don't give them any snaps with the first team, so your first team has never heard his cadence. What? That just does not make any sense whatsoever, because let's face it, how many quarterbacks this year have gone down or missed at least a part of the game and they had to bring somebody else in? If you are not, I mean, let's face it, what's the saying? You can plan to fail, but if you don't plan, you fail. I don't remember, but it's something like that. Like, you've gotta
You sound like George Bush.
People don't plan to fail; they fail to plan.
For the worst and hope for the best.
Exactly.
And people don't plan to fail; they fail to plan.
Exactly, and that's what they're doing. I mean, I don't know. It just baffles me that you wouldn't have your backup take some snaps, that your offensive line wouldn't have heard his cadence before, throwing him into a game at all. It just baffles me. And as far as the other ones, yeah, we haven't seen a lot. They haven't gotten a lot of, and the one I feel the most for, obviously, I'm familiar with Cam Ward, but we've all said it. You get drafted number 1 for a reason, because you went to a really, really bad team. And so to have success, it's going to be really hard until they get more pieces and, letting a coach go. And I mean, they could have another number 1 pick this year. You never know.
Okay, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the easy one here is, Jackson Dart, for what he's been able to do to jumpstart. But I feel bad for Cam Ward. I mean, as a guy that obviously, watched the Titans, root for the Titans, the team I played for. Candy, he didn't go to a bad team. He's on an awful team. The Titans are awful. it is hard to watch them. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing about a guy like Cam Ward, a guy like Shador Sanders. You know how much it messes up your development? Because they'll say, okay, where would you rank Shador? Even though he's only played the second, where would you rank Cam? Just say Cam Ward is ranked in the bottom, 10 quarterbacks in the league. Where does his head coach rank? Oh, that's right. He's fired already. You got Coach McCoy, who's not going to be there. When you start thinking about these players, we always want to rank the players. What if my offensive coordinator is a bottom feeder? What if my quarterback coach stinks? What if my scheme is awful? And that's what I got to play under. Play. How many times can they use the word improvise when it comes to Cam Ward? You know why they saying that? Because the offensive line can't block. The receivers can't get open. Kevin Ridley is on IR. And this is what I got to deal with. You talk about a guy like Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is exciting, but at least his team is okay around him. And I've never seen anything like Cleveland. I really haven't. It's the same Kevin Stefanski that after they won, this is the same Kevin Stefanski that after Baker Mayfield went like what? 11, they went like 11-5 or something like that. 11-6 or something like that. They won that division. They beat Pittsburgh in the freaking playoffs. They lost by a touchdown to Kansas City, and they traded him the next year. This is the same Kevin Stefanski. So it's almost like Kevin. People be saying that coaches be rooting for players to fail. I usually didn't believe that. Kevin Stefanski, everybody was thinking he's this great coach. Based off of what? If you thought Dylan Gabriel was that good, why did you draft Shador? You draft two quarterbacks in the same round, in the same draft, because you knew that one guy, if I got two, I really ain't selling on one. But Shador gets the full week of practice. He gets to go out there and try to go out there and play and see what he does. But I've never seen anything. You would think that the head coach, the general manager, the president, and the owner would be on the same page, and they're not. They're not. It's almost like Kevin Stefanski hopes Shador Sanders doesn't play well to validate whatever he's doing or not doing. But I think for a lot of these quarterbacks, it's all about where they at and the type of scheme they play under. Cam Ward, may God help that young idiots. Woo! I know, Marvin, you've been watching the Jets, right? I know. The Titans, if the Titans played the Jets, I got the Jets by 20. They would beat the Titans. You just ain't seen them. You just got to see it. It is I thought the worst team in the NFL would be the Saints this year. That's what I thought it would be. The Saints beat Carolina 2 weeks ago, and if the Saints play the Titans right now, they would beat them. They would beat them. So I think Cam Ward is going to be on the worst team in the NFL his rookie year and his second year, because I think they're going to pick number one. I really think they're going to be the number one overall pick. And unfortunately for a guy like Cam Ward, by the time he's ready and by the time he's confident to play, he's going to be beat up. So either it's going to be the neck up or the neck down. They're going to beat him up from the neck down, and all the confidence from the neck up going to be gone. But I feel bad for the young man. I didn't know that Jackson Dart would be this good. And the young man down there, Tyler, down there in New Orleans, I mean, he's the NFC version of the Titans. That's the NFC version of the Titans on that side. But these quarterbacks, man, they deserve better than this. They really, really do.
Mel?
I think a lot is being made out of the fact that Shador didn't get any reps in practice. And I think Marvin and Ben know this. I know the one thing, and Marvin played for Coach Robinson. The one thing that Coach Robinson always talked about, man, is we're going to get on our feet and off our feet. Practice was only an hour and 30 minutes, maybe an hour and 45 minutes tops. Coach Robinson believed in getting off your feet. So we're going to be, and practice is always moving. It's always moving. You're constantly moving. And it's not all team. You're not doing team all day long in practice. You got individual work. Then you got offense. You're working with the offensive line. You got 7-on-7. Then you come together at the end of the practice. You might do 20 plays of team, and then it's to the house. So it's not a whole lot. You're getting a lot done in a short period of time, and they don't have a whole lot of time to give everybody opportunities. Everybody can't take reps. You got the people who are going to get reps are the people who are going to play out there on Sunday. Mark Herman may have gotten, I can't even remember, he may have gotten a rep or something like that. They might tell him, go in there. You've got to take mental reps. That's what you have to do. You have to take mental reps. So then when it's your opportunity in the game, if somebody goes down, then you have to be prepared to go in there and know what you're supposed to do. Now, you may not have physically done it in practice, but you've taken enough mental reps where you should be able to go out there and do it. not saying he didn't have any reps in practice is no excuse to put that. Now, there was a lot of drop passes out there too. I know he's 4'16", but there are some drop passes out there that may have got him to 50%, maybe. I don't know. I didn't see the whole game, but he's got to be prepared mentally. He knows he's a backup quarterback. He could go in there at any time. You got to be prepared to play. And the one thing my dad used to always say, the one thing you can't hide is performance. You can't hide it. So he had to go in there and he had to perform regardless of what the situation was. He had to go out there and perform. And unfortunately, he did. Now, whether or not Dylan Gabriel was able to go back out there this week or not, I don't know. We'll have to see. But as far as, I know they're making a big deal out of Jackson Dart, and him and Cam Scadaboo came out there and they, thought they were taking the NFL on, by storm. And, these guys are grown men, man. They see all this kind of stuff. And, Jackson Dart running around, you can't do all that running around in the NFL. You can't do it. You're going to get hurt. They're going to get you. I mean, they want you to get outside the pocket so they can get an opportunity to get a good lick on you. And that's what happened to him. Somebody got a lick on him. And it wasn't even really a good lick. We got a decent little lick on him, and that put him out. Now, what happens when they get a good lick on him when he gets out there? He's going to really be hurt. So, you got to win the game from the pocket. He's exciting and all that kind of stuff, but he's got to learn how to play from the pocket, play from within himself. All the extracurricular stuff is unnecessary right now. You're a rookie, man. Go out there, learn the game, try to play the game at a high level, and help your team win. All the other stuff, you have plenty of time to do that. If you're good, you have plenty of time to do that if you succeed and learn to play that position at a high level.
Okay, you know what we're going to do? Ben, I've got one more topic to get you out. Marvin will continue this other one. Just give me your quick thoughts about what took place at the tragedy surrounding gun violence and John Beam last week. Obviously, the guy that was charged, his name is Cedric Irving Jr. for murder. This is a really bad tragedy that just took place. Give me your quick thoughts. I know you have to get going in a few minutes, but I do want to address this real quickly and a few other things. We're going to go rapid fire in a couple topics. Go ahead, Ben. Real quickly on obviously John Beam. Rest in peace, Coach. Go ahead, Ben.
That I mean, obviously, I got to know Coach John Beam on watching at Last Chance U on Netflix, and just a guy that came up in that community, who understand that community, who understand the kids, who understand what they're going through, and use football as a beacon of hope, a beacon of a way out. And to have that happen to him is a tragedy in so many ways. I mean, coaches are more than just father figures and mentors, man. They provide, a way of escape for some of these young men who could sometimes feel trapped in a place like that. And it's just, I mean, I understand that gun violence is a real thing, man, but you would think that they would be, and they said that he was just talking about gun violence and being able to protect the players and the people on campus. But that kind of stuff is hard to stomach because, he good people from what I saw. I mean, he's a guy that was very beloved in his community, very beloved by his players, very beloved by his, the school he worked at. And it just shows that we got a lot of work to do in this life because gun violence is a real thing. Gang culture in certain parts of the country is real. It's real as it gets. And I think for a place like that, they're going to have to rethink how they go about safety. I know you got to be able to protect the people on these campuses and around these campuses. And if you understand the part of the city that you in, you know what's up. And whether you the president, whether you the dean of students, just because you don't live over here, you work over here and you know what it is. So what happened to Coach Beam was a tragedy. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't have happened. My condolences to his family, but he meant so much to so many, and it was bigger than football, and they took away a good one. So I just hope that the school understands the severity of the situation. They take the proper precautions to make sure that something like that, you can't prevent it, but prevention should be at the top of your list.
All right, Ben, let everybody know to get a hold of you real quick. I'm going to go back to Marvin Powell for the conclusion of the one topic, and then he's going to start off the other one. Go ahead. Real quick.
I mean, I got a new X handle. I think it's at Ben Troop like 976. I don't know the numbers behind it. My old X handle got hacked. Somebody think I'm somebody out there because they hacked my freaking X. I don't know why they hacked it, but they hacked it. So I'm still Ben Troop. I don't know the numbers behind me. I'm still at Ben Troop 84 on IG. And look, man, the fan in the end, just just having fun on these airways. I think being blessed to be on with everybody on here, Mel, Marvin, Tommy, Mr. Tommy. I'm calling you Tommy. Myself, Mr. Tommy. I'm not calling you Tommy. You Mr. Tommy. To me, Candy, and obviously, Steve know what it is. Look, man, I mean, sometimes, God bless you to have fun doing exactly what you love to do with people you love to do it with. And that's what I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing it until somebody say I can't.
Well, I'll tell you, I enjoy working with you, my brother, and I'm glad that you're on our network, Ben. That's for sure. There's a book out there, Uncommon and Unfinished. Ben, glad to have you on the show. And if you're on next Tuesday, great. If you're not, happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, I'm
all right,
on.
Ben?
Listen, I'm on every Tuesday. Listen, because y'all not finna jinx me. John Gruden is not gonna be the head coach of Florida. Hell no, that's not happening. I'm just saying that, Mel. I don't know what's gonna go on to UCLA.
No, we don't need him.
I know he live in Tampa. Just keep your house down there in Tampa. Do not come to Gainesville. Keep that 727 area code. Do not switch it to 352. We're not dealing with that. Nope.
All right, well, we will be doing a show next Tuesday night, and cast to be determined. Thanks again, Ben. I know you got to roll. Thanks very much. Okay, Marvin, back to you. We'll go ahead and let you conclude about the quarterbacks, and then we'll talk about the tragedy that took place. Go ahead, Marvin. Let's finish up with the quarter ones.
Yeah, of the list that you gave us, Jackson Dart is obviously the guy. When he was at USC, he looked good. I mean, he was our starting quarterback, and he played really well. I was really excited about him in the future at USC, but he got hurt, and he lost his position, and then he went to Ole Miss with Lane. He's the guy. In regards to Shedeur, people were talking about, remember when Caleb Williams, when it came out that Caleb Williams' dad was talking before the draft about how he didn't want to go to the Bears or go somewhere, where his son won't develop because of the issue, because of a revolving door and all this stuff, and in a team who has been horrific in what they've done to young quarterbacks. Listen, the reality is this: that happens. Eli Manning, his dad, had him set up so he wouldn't go to the Chargers. He wanted to go to a place where they had real leadership. What you see with Stefanski is ego exists. It exists. He didn't want Shedeur, and he's proving to the organization, in his mind, he's proving to the organization that he's not the guy, that he's not ready, that he's not it. That's really what I think, and I hate that for that kid. What I love is how Shedeur handles everything. People don't talk enough about how much class he has and emotional intelligence. And when you ask him tough questions, a lot of times he gives you great answers. Answers that you don't get from a first-year player, which shows you his maturity, but also his development that he's gotten from his dad, and that matters. You know what I mean? In regards to Beam, to be honest, I saw the headline. Obviously, I heard Ben talk about it. I didn't know the whole story, but again, we live in a day and age where guns are heavily promoted. Violence has been promoted as a solution through video games and movies forever. Unfortunately, we're seeing the other side of, I need my firearm for my safety. We're seeing people use that in a way that it shouldn't be used. And to lose your life when you dedicated it to service the way you have, it's unfortunate.
Okay, great stuff. All right, Mel, you can talk about John Beam, and we'll continue with the topic around. We're going to do rapid fire in a couple. Want to make sure we get to everything if possible. All right, obviously, last chance to you is no more. Mel?
Yeah, I think Ben kind of summed it up. I mean, it is a tragedy. A guy who's such a pillar in the community, who changed and transformed young men's lives. He took he took time to he took great. He cared about kids, man. He cared about these kids, man, and he wanted them to do better and to be the best that they possibly could be. And he took time and nurtured these guys. A lot of them probably didn't have fathers and whatnot, and he was a father figure to them, and also gave them hope too. The hope for not just being able to play in the National Football League or go to a big time college and make it to the National Football League, but just be something in life. And it's unfortunate that somebody like that was taken away because of gun violence. I understand that he may have run across the guy. They might have crossed paths. They didn't really necessarily know each other, but he, would help out. I guess the guy would be around there, and maybe he talked to him or something like that. I don't know what the circumstances were surrounding it, why it ended up happening, but obviously, anytime there's gun violence, it's a tragedy.
Stephen.
Listen, gun violence is no joke, and it really sucks you losing a guy like this who who goes out of his way to help young athletes, broken men, and give them opportunities that either they've messed up or did silly things to get themselves in trouble, and just find ways to give them opportunities that no one wants to give them. So when you lose a man like that does stuff like that for young athletes, it hurts. It hurts a lot of the guys. It hurts the guys that they put in the league. It hurts the guys that were hoping on him to help them. So it's a crappy situation, regardless of your thoughts on guns and all that, people's right to bear arms. It's rough. So, thoughts and prayers with the people that's affected him in his life, and looking forward to seeing some justice on it in some way, shape, or form.
Candy.
They're sleeping.
Candy. Oh well. Tommy, I guess I put her to sleep, right?
You're working her too hard, Scott.
Yeah, I'm
Whoa,
working.
it's a family show, Mel. Come on.
Yeah, I know. That's all right. It is what it is. All right, go ahead, Tommy.
Well, yeah, this is age-old problem with
I
guns.
can see the reels popping up here that she's out there sleeping. I'll tell you, we put her to sleep, didn't we? Okay, great. I'm just kidding with you. But go ahead, Tommy.
This whole problem with guns in America and Charleston, Heston,
She woke up.
She's up. Cold, dead fingers, and it's in states that vote to let people carry their guns. I read a little bit about this, and they said that the kid targeted somebody, but they didn't say he specifically targeted Beam. So it's a strange story. But the other thing that's upside down about our society is Beam probably never made a big paycheck. He probably was able to cash in a little bit up from Netflix, but good for him.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the people that are out there dealing with the problem kids don't make any money. And meanwhile, we got Brian Kelly walking away with $54 million. And Bill Belichick, a 73-year-old man, suckering North Carolina into giving him $50 million. That's our society is just upside down.
All right, Mrs. Sleeping Goddess, you up there? I'll tell you, I can tell when you look at the reels here, and they're going to see you're sleeping. We'll probably get more views because of that look there. But let's talk about Coach John Beam, Candy. We'll have to beam you up.
You are, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you keep me up late, I tell you.
Okay, keep going, Candy. We only have
All right. This is a PG show.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll keep it that way. It's just unfortunate because, like Tom was saying, the ones that work the hardest, that work for, that are coaching, like, I go back to like my dad. My dad taught high school math. And who did he teach and who did he have the most success for? He taught the ones that nobody else wanted to teach. He taught the ones that were harder to teach, that he had to relate to, that's about all I'm going to say, because I don't really know this coach real well. So I'm going to just relate it to, hitting those tough kids and coaching them.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll say this. I may talk about a little bit more tomorrow night. I'm sure it might be appropriate, but reality is it is unfortunate that Coach John Beam is no longer with us due to an act of gun violence with Cedric Irving Jr. I can tell you right now, we talk about life, winning football games, things like this, but there's more to life than just winning football games. We're talking about a guy that passed away who was an ideal role model. Rest in peace, John Beam. We're going to go rapid fire on a couple of topics, and I mean rapid fire. Back in April, before the draft, the Dallas Cowboys received Joe Milton III, a 2025 fifth-round pick from New England for a 2025 fifth-round pick. and obviously, when we look at the whole situation, when you look at Milton, the guy has a live arm. So would you say, Tommy, real quick, that he's heir apparent to Dak Prescott at all?
No.
You don't think so?
Who was the guy the Raiders drafted #1 overall that had the giant arm for their
Marcus Russell.
Yeah, he never made it. So Milton played at Michigan, where you had plenty of great offensive linemen in front of you to take care of you, and he never did anything. So no, unless he develops, he matures. I guess there's always that chance, but I don't think he's going to be a quarterback.
Okay, Candy.
Wait a minute. Wasn't there another quarterback that, let's see, played for Michigan and was drafted in the 6th round and went on to do, famous things? You just never know. Right coach can coach somebody up. Now, I'm not saying that that'll happen in Dallas, but you just never know. Hidden gem, maybe.
Yeah.
Or that was Lloyd Carr, like the other quarterback, more than Tom Brady.
There you go.
Yeah, the other quarterback, I forget his name, but he had been drafted in baseball as well. And he was a Michigan kid, state of Michigan.
There you go. All right, Mel, what do you think? What are your thoughts about Joe Milton?
Joe Milton, he's with the Cowboys, right? He's backup quarterback with the Cowboys. He looked pretty good a couple times that he got into the game during the preseason. I think that he can still be developed. I know there's a lot of hype around him coming down there from. I think he was in New England. I think he played a little bit in New England.
Right.
I think Jerry feels pretty good about having him there. And, it could be somebody that they may have to lean on for a couple games if Dak goes down. But right now, Dak is playing well. Don't wish him to get hurt or anything like that. But I think he's in a great situation where he can learn from a true professional and learn how to become a professional and maybe get an opportunity somewhere down the line.
Marvin?
If he's the backup quarterback, listen, he won that job. I mean, the number 2 quarterback in the NFL is relevant to a degree. And he was competing against other veterans and younger players. So if they put him there, then that says something. They see something that we don't. They see him in practice every day. So the coaches, know what they're doing. Will he be successful in the NFL? It's too early, too young. We have no idea. Aaron Rodgers didn't get a snap until year 4. Who knows? I'll say this: the sky's the limit. To be this young, and you look at how much work he can get in between now and next season, and and getting into a couple games this year and next year. You have no idea what this guy's going to do. So it's a wait and see situation with him.
Steven?
I'll say it like this: they want him to be the heir apparent to Dak Prescott. He's not going to be. He's not going to be. We have a serious problem in the NFL right now, and it's called the inability to develop quarterbacks.
Right.
I mean, you look at a lot of these drafts, these guys who are taken high. It's a laundry list of guys who are out of the league or they can't stay on the field and losing their jobs to other guys. I'm not sitting there saying that Joe can't break that mold. I mean, I think what Jerry and the boys are thinking is thinking they can get another late round guy and coach him up. Dak is one of those few guys that was able to take that. Well, I think he was drafted in the 4th round and be able to play with house money and get into a good situation. With who they have on the outside as playmakers, I think anyone who is at least more than proficient can run that offense down there in Dallas. But we'll see if Joe's able to pan out. But if you're looking around the league, you see a lot of these first round guys are more often than not failures, not successes, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I like Joe Milton. He has a long live arm. Anything's possible. I want to get to a few more topics. It took the Cleveland Browns a while to get him in there, but Cleveland Browns running back Quinshon Judkins, a 2nd round pick, obviously out of Texas. Obviously, when he reached an agreement to his rookie contract, but he's one of the few bright spots for the franchise. Steven, real quickly, what are your thoughts about the rookie running back?
Find your way out of there fast. Cleveland is a sinking ship. The end.
Okay. All right, Marvin.
Same thing. It's this horrible leadership, horrible decision making. They got some players on that team, But I don't think that's where you want to be moving forward.
Mel?
He was drafted in the second round, right? I mean, the talent was never an issue there. He had a little problem where he had to report to camp late. Had a little situation, I believe, but the talent was never a question. Unfortunately, he's gone to a team that is just not very good, and that obviously could play huge in his career and his future here. I don't know how many more opportunities they're going to give Stefanski. I mean, I don't know what he has on the ownership down there, but obviously, he's learned something from Marvin Lewis. He's got something. He's got some receipts somewhere where he's able to year in and year out be able to keep his job. They keep talking about how he's a great this and a great that, and I haven't seen it. I'm not one to call for anybody's job. That's not my job. But what they're doing out there,
they got beer goggles down there in Cleveland.
I mean, they got probably the greatest defensive player in the league, and he's just wasting in Cleveland right now. Because we'll never know whether he's one of the all-time greats because he's never going to get an opportunity to prove himself in the postseason because they can't get there.
Right. Great points. Candy?
Let's face it. He played his college ball for Ole Miss and then Ohio State. He's won a national championship. He so far has 486 rushing yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, 12 receptions, 60 yards receiving yards. But where does he play? He plays in Cleveland. I wouldn't want to be drafted in Cleveland. I wouldn't want to go to Cleveland. I don't even want to visit Cleveland. I don't even need to visit Cleveland. But so if he can find himself any place else to get traded to, although there are a couple other teams I wouldn't want to get traded to either. There's a couple of them, but hey, go out there and shine and do the best you can with what you've got there, so you can, maybe you'll be trade bait and can get moved on.
Tommy?
Yeah, I'd hate to be a Browns fan. It's a dumpster fire, and it's too bad for any guy that gets caught in that franchise.
All right, well, let's go transition to Myles Garrett's the first player in NFL history with 12+ sacks, 6 seasons. We'll go back to you, Tommy. It's unfortunate that his career is there. Great numbers there. It's just too bad that
he's the Joe Thomas of Cleveland Browns defense. Great
go.
player and never going to get any credit.
Candy?
Yeah, again, I mean, we've talked about it numerous times. The one place you don't want to go to play is Cleveland. I mean, it's just they're not developing players. They're just not a good football team, not a good franchise. So, I mean, kudos to him for reaching, that milestone. But just think what he would have done had he been on a better team.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. 12+ sacks in 6 or 8 seasons. It's surreal. Mel, you already talked about it. You want to add to that?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll leave it at that.
Marvin?
Yeah, he's not a victim. He chose to re-sign with Cleveland and get that money. He's where he wants to be. Believe me, he can wipe his tears with his money. Guys, he's out there balling. He's doing his thing. He looks great, putting up numbers. It's great to see an athlete, sign the big deal and get their butt kicked every week, but still show up every week at the same time. So he's a real pro. I give him that. He's a hell of a player. I don't think it's a secret. I think people know how good he is without question, but don't feel sorry for him. He's doing what he wanted to do, and that's signed a big contract, and that's it.
Steven?
Yeah, I'm with Marvin on here. You don't sign the contract. We're not having this discussion. We're talking about how he's a game changer wherever he wants up being traded, whether he got traded to Dallas, Philadelphia, sent out to LA, whatever. There's so many that there was opportunities, and there were a lot of suitors that could have made him happy, giving him a real chance to play well into January, potentially February. He chose to be the highest paid player there in Cleveland, put a no trade clause in his contract to boot. So, I mean, listen, we could feel sorry for him all day long. he's not feeling sorry for himself. I don't care how frustrated he is. He chose to stay there in Cleveland. He chose to not have the potential to win a championship. I don't care what happens over the totality of his contract. There may be a real possibility he may never see another playoff win.
True. Good points. All right, let's continue on. Got some interesting topics here to get to. Kentucky made a good effort to save Mark Stoops' job last week, obviously, in week 12, because they were 22.5-point favorites versus an FCS powerhouse, Tennessee Tech, the highest scoring offense in FCS. They were ranked number 5 in the FCS. Tennessee Tech was 10-0, and obviously they took on a Kentucky team that's 4-5, a 10-0 FCS team. The end result, though, Kentucky ended up winning 42-10. Tommy, let's face it, these are trap games and they're dangerous, but Kentucky responded. What are your thoughts about Tennessee Tech, though?
Great performance, great season for them. Was it Mark Stoops?
Yeah, Mark Stoops is there. Yeah.
He's done a great job at Kentucky. Whether they're 4-5 or whether he's had one of his better seasons, he's done about as well as you can at a program like that, competing in the SEC.
Candy?
Tennessee Tech in this game was they had a total of 264 yards compared to Kentucky's 468 yards. Again, Kentucky beat them on time of possession, penalties. Texas Tech just sometimes teams are too mind. They play the mind game. They had 6 penalties for 48 yards compared to Kansas 3 for 20. So, and they threw an interception. They were only 4 of 11 on third downs. Just doesn't. I didn't watch the game, but it just sounds like they just didn't. Their offense just wasn't clicking, and Kentucky's defense came to play.
Kentucky needed to win really bad to get closer to bowl eligibility. Mel?
Yeah, Kentucky's a tough place to win. Talk about a basketball school. That is a basketball school. First and foremost, that's basketball country. So what Mark Stoops has been able to do there has been incredible. And I hope he gets to continue to do it there. I don't. He seems like he likes it there. And when you get a coach who likes it, Kentucky, they understand who they are. They're not going to be, they're not going to be in the top part of the SEC. And maybe every 10, 15 years they might have an opportunity and they'll get close to 10 wins or something like that. But I think if they can just stay bowl eligible, I think they're happy there. And the basketball team continues to compete. But what Mark Stoops, that's a tough job. He took on a tough challenge there, and he's made those guys competitive week in and week out. I think they're 500 right now. Right. Win another game, they become bowl eligible. So, that's all you can ask for out of a program like Kentucky.
Yeah, he's done a really good job. I hope they keep Mark Stoops. Go ahead, Marvin.
Listen, the SEC has its own group of blue bloods just for that conference. And the fact that this guy can win enough games to be bowl eligible at a basketball school that does not prioritize football says a lot about him. Those Stoop boys, them Stoop brothers, they can coach without question. And to echo what Tom said, when you look at who they are and just what they put into it, he does a great job.
Okay, Steven.
Yeah, pass it out.
What's that?
Pass it out.
Okay, no problem. Next topic. I'll tell you, this one I really like here is a high school. Get this. We're talking about high school. The number 4 ranked team in America just lost to a 2-8 team. They beat in the regular season 48-0. I'm referring to St. John Bosco, the number 4 team in the nation, and beat Orange Lutheran 48-0. Guess what? 2-8 Orange Lutheran beat St. John Bosco 20-19. Tommy, I brought this up because I know at times you like to talk about high school, and we don't give the high schools enough publicity, but this is an opportunity that any team can beat another one on a given day, no matter how bad the records are or how high the rankings are.
Yeah, well, I don't know too much about those teams, but they're both private schools in California, so they're both recruiting some of the best talent in Southern California. So, yeah, 2-8. That's pretty drastic.
Yeah, it is.
To
Why I made
win.
the That's why I made the show, Tommy. It is drastic. Number
Yeah,
4.
I have no idea what happened there.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. I stand a better chance of winning the Rubik's Cube than trying to figure this one out. Candy, go ahead.
You know, we've talked about it on the college level and the pros level. Any given team on any given day can beat any given team, and that's why you play the game. And you know, everybody goes out there and tries to give it their all, and sometimes it works and meshes, and sometimes it doesn't. Like, look at Jared Goff. He was not on this game against the Eagles, but the Eagles defense was. There's 2 teams playing out there, so you just never know who's going to win. Kudos to the team that won, though.
Mel?
How was it that they end up playing each other twice? So they played each other twice this year? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, evidently they did. Yeah.
So a 2-18 made the playoffs or something like that? I mean, how does that happen?
I have no idea.
It happens in small conferences. That's normal. Everybody goes to the playoffs.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it, man. You never know what's going through a 16-year-old kid's head. Obviously, you know, they probably were looking forward to the next game and didn't take that team seriously because they'd already beaten up on them earlier in the year. And, you know, they probably, you know, just obviously overlooked them. Coaches probably did too, because, you know, coaching has a lot to do with it as well. And they might have been looking forward to the game after and just thought that, you know, they had that game won. All they had to do was just show up and the other team would lay down and they would win. And, you know, all of a sudden they realized after they got punched in the mouth the first play that they were going to be in a dogfight. And unfortunately, they just weren't ready.
Marvin?
Yeah, St. John Bosco, they're known as Big Bad Bosco, football powerhouse. They've been, you know, a top 5 team the last couple of years. I think they won the national title last year. They put out big time athletes, USC, UCLA, Notre Dame, Alabama. Everybody's recruiting these kids, you know, and what you saw, as Candy said, is, you know, any given Sunday, David beat Goliath. That really happened. It's unbelievable. Bosco is one of those teams that ESPN is on ESPN that they fly all over the country to play the various teams. So that's who they are. One of my ex-teammates at USC, Darnell Lacey, is their secondary coach and does a great job at that. But this is a major upset. It's huge. You know, it would be like the 85 Bears losing to the current New York Jets. You know what I'm saying? It's a big deal in high school football because Bosco is the real deal, but they got beat by King David.
Steven?
Pass.
That's good. Okay, there you go. I knew that would be one that at high school it is what it is. All right, let's talk Kansas City Chiefs and one-score games. These are going to be rapid-fire questions. I want to get as much as we can. The one-score games last year, they were 11-0. This year, they're 0-5. The Broncos obviously are, when you talk about one of the top dogs in the AFC West, but the Chiefs' worst start since 2015 at 5-5. Real quickly, Tommy, what are your thoughts about the way things are working out for the Chiefs?
Yeah, you know, every team runs its course. The Chiefs have been on top for a long time. Chargers and Broncos have been chasing them, and they both put together good rosters to compete with them. So that's just football.
Candy?
Again, any given team on any given Sunday can go out there and beat them. So you just never know. Sometimes teams' luck, sometimes the ball bounces their way. You just never know. And right now the Chiefs are on everybody was gunning for them. Let's face it, the Chiefs have been the standard for how long? So everybody's gunning for them, and now they're losing a couple of these that before they were winning.
Yeah, that's true. Andy Reid got a tough job. Mel?
Yeah, the Chiefs have been they've had the bullseye on their back for a number of years. Where they've been the 4 out of 5 last Super Bowls or something like that. I mean, they've been the gold standard in the AFC for a long time. You know, at some point in time, that run was going to come to an end. The Broncos are playing extremely well. That division is getting tough. The Chargers are coming along. We still got guys over there in the eastern part of the country they have to deal with as well with Baltimore and Buffalo. So right now they're having a difficult time in their division, and you know the way it's looking right now is they may not even make the playoffs this year. So you know, one thing that Marvin knows, it's hard to win. You know, it's hard to win in the NFL, and the margins are slim. And you just especially when you have a bullseye on your back, and that was a big game for Denver. And you know they're playing it like it was a Super Bowl, believe me. And I don't think that the Chiefs are looking at it as a playoff type game or a Super Bowl type game, but Denver was. I mean, they're looking at it. Hey, if we can beat these guys, and we can show that we've arrived because we beat the last two the last two participants in the Super Bowl when they beat Philly, and then now they come out here and they beat Kansas City. You know, that gives them a great boost of confidence for the last remaining games of the season, and they feel like they can, you know, maybe make some hay in the playoffs. And I think Detroit kind of felt like that last year, and then they ran into Washington in the playoffs, and you know that ended up into their Super Bowl hope. So we'll see what happens here. I mean, this is the best part of the season. Like I said, there's a lot of divisional games here that are going to be coming up, so you know, it's going to separate the men from the boys here. So it's going to be interesting to see.
4 minutes left in the show. We're going to go rapid fire. And let me tell you, on next week's show, we're going to talk about Jimbo Fisher coming. Where will he be interested in going? We're going to talk about Kurt Signetti, and we'll also talk about Mike Elko and the trooper that went ahead and got kicked out of Texas A&M. That'll be on next Tuesday night show. So with that said, Marvin, give me your thoughts real quickly about the Chiefs, and then Steven, and then we're going to talk about Matthew Stafford for about a minute, and then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead, Marvin, real quick.
For the last 7 years, we've been spoiled by Pat Mahomes and KC and their greatness. Before that, it was Brady. A lot of us lived through the Jordan era. With that said, you know how hard it is to win a professional game? You know, this week, and then win again next week and next week. You know, it's rare. So what you're seeing is reality set in. You know what I'm saying? They lose players get hurt, players get older, and here you are.
Steven?
Not surprised at all. They haven't done enough to kind of get any better. They just kind of did the reload thing and run it back, thinking they were going to continue to do things. As you mentioned, they're 0-5 in 3-point games, while the Denver Broncos, I think, are 6-2. So, I mean, it's to be expected. I had them as potentially missing the playoffs. I thought that the AFC West was going to be better. I'm not surprised by this. You can't stay on top and then not make moves to continue to get younger and better. They haven't done that. So I won't be surprised when Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are sipping margaritas in Cancun come January.
Great way to end it. Okay, Matthew Stafford, all-time career record 116, 150-1, over 500 first time in his career. Tommy, you glad to see it?
Yeah, he's had a great career. And you talk about Myles Garrett. Here's a guy that forced a good trade to enhance his career.
Candy?
The trade worked for him, and he's, you know, thriving out there. Good for him. He's had a long, good career.
Mel?
Yeah, good for him, man. You know, the best thing he could have done is got out of Detroit at the time in which he got out of it. And the best thing that could happen to Detroit is they got to get Jared Goff and Dan Campbell. And so, I mean, I think everybody wins in that trade.
Marvin?
Yeah, he definitely won in that trade. Good for him. This is what happens when you get drafted to a horrible team, horrible organization. And, you know, then you go to a good organization. You see the difference.
Right. Steven, last word on it. Then we go to and Candy to go for their quick station break. Everybody can identify themselves. We have about 2 minutes left. Go ahead, Steven.
Love it that he finally has a winning record. It took him 4 years to get the stink of Detroit off him. Proud of him. Couldn't be happier.
All right, Candy, quick station break. Everybody around the horn.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. It's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. If you'd like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise or be a guest or topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
All right, just so you know, tomorrow night, Marvin and I, Candy, will be back on Sports Exchange as well as Tommy. 9 o'clock. Tommy will be on. We have a great show lined up. All right, Tommy, let everybody know how they get a hold of you real quick.
Tom Shanahan.report. Buy my books and pay my daughter's college tuition.
Steven.
Yeah, easy. Just type my name in on Facebook and IG pop up. It's Steve Sports Talk 1 for YouTube, X, and TikTok. And make sure you're tuned in tomorrow morning as me, Marvin, and Ben are going to be talking to Mark Patterson, former NFL player, and he also works with Sports Illustrated as well.
All right, Marvin, make it quick. Mel, make it quick. Sorry about that.
You can catch me with the South Florida Tribune Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, Wednesday night. Marvin on the mic is my handle.
Beautiful. And Mel, you got a few seconds to get it out there.
Find me everywhere at Melfar Jr.